My sister slept with my boyfriend, then tried to make peace at my wedding. What happened next ended our family forever. When Sebastian proposed, it felt like the universe finally gave me a breath of peace after years of chaos. We'd been together for 5 years, 5 solid, beautiful years, and he was everything I'd ever hoped to find in a partner. Kind, steady, supportive, the kind of man who made me feel safe to trust again. After everything I'd been through with my family, I wanted our wedding to be about one thing: happiness. No drama, no guilt, no old wounds reopening. Just love, laughter, and peace. But my mother had other plans. I grew up in a family that believed pretending was better than confronting. We didn't argue out loud, we buried things under fake smiles and polite silence. And my mom, she was the queen of denial. She'd do anything to make things look okay. She'd guilt trip, cry, and twist words just to force everyone to get along. And this whole nightmare started because of my older sister, Clara. Clara and I used to be inseparable. But that ended during my junior year of college when I was dating my first real boyfriend, Marco. We were together for 4 years. I honestly thought he was the one I'd marry, until I found out he was sleeping with my sister. It wasn't a one-time mistake. It was an affair, one they hid for months, maybe longer. When I confronted Clara, she didn't deny it. She didn't even look ashamed. She just looked at me and said, "Well, maybe if he cheated, you weren't enough for him." That one sentence destroyed everything I thought I knew about family. I walked away from her that day and never looked back. Marco and I ended things, but the real scar came from Clara's betrayal. And the worst part? My mom treated it like we had just fought over a dress. She'd say, "Men make mistakes. Sisters shouldn't hold grudges." No matter how I tried to explain the pain, she brushed it off as overreacting. I eventually realized she'd never take my side, so I stopped bringing it up. I built my own life without Clara in it. Years later, when Sebastian and I began planning our wedding, I was finally happy. We wanted something small, maybe 75 people, only those who truly mattered. I didn't even consider inviting Clara. She wasn't part of my life. But when my mom found out, her reaction was instant. She gasped like I'd committed a crime. "You can't do that. She's your sister." I calmly explained my reasons, but she refused to listen. She threw guilt at me like it was confetti. "How will this look to the family? Do you really want to start drama?" The irony of her saying that wasn't lost on me. Over the next few weeks, she doubled down. Non-stop calls, emotional texts, even aunts and cousins joining in, sending messages like, "It would mean so much to Grandma to see everyone together," or "You'll regret this someday." The final straw. Mom threatened not to come to my wedding unless Clara was invited. She said she refused to choose sides, but it was obvious she already had. It broke me a little. I love my mom, but I couldn't let her guilt control my happiness. Sebastian stood by me completely. "It's your day," he said. "If she can't respect your boundaries, that's on her." So I made my choice. I told Mom I'd think about inviting Clara just to stop the constant pressure. Then I wrote Clara a letter instead. I told her the truth, that her betrayal changed me, that I wanted my wedding to be a celebration of trust and peace, and her presence would only bring back pain. I said I didn't hate her, but I didn't want to pretend we were fine. She didn't take it well. Her reply was full of anger, calling me bitter, petty, and immature. She said I was making the family choose sides. And as expected, Mom sided with her. Mom called me crying, saying I was tearing the family apart. "What kind of person doesn't invite her own sister?" she sobbed. I told her calmly that my decision was final. After that, I stopped replying. When the wedding day finally came, it was perfect. Clara wasn't there. Mom gave me the cold shoulder most of the day, but I refused to let it ruin my joy. For the first time in years, I felt free. I was surrounded by love, real love, and peace. But of course, the peace didn't last. A few days after the wedding, Clara started posting passive-aggressive quotes on social media, things like, "Some people never heal because they love being the victim." Mom kept sending me long messages filled with guilt. "You've broken your sister's heart," she wrote. "I've never seen her so sad." A few relatives even called to say they didn't agree with what I did. And for a moment, I wondered if I was wrong. Was I selfish for wanting to protect my peace? Should I have invited her just to avoid all this chaos? Then I remembered she never apologized, not once. Update 1, it's been 5 days since I shared this, and I've been overwhelmed by people's responses. Many said they went through something similar, and it made me realize I'm not alone. But things haven't improved with Mom. She sent me a long, emotional email a few days ago. It was full of guilt and manipulation, saying things like, "You're not the daughter I raised, and I don't even recognize you anymore." She wrote that I'd divided the family and that she couldn't sleep because of me. She even claimed distant relatives were calling to say how disappointed they were. For a minute, I felt crushed. Then I realized something. This is who she's always been. She doesn't listen. She just pushes until you break. So I replied calmly, "I'm sorry you feel that way, Mom, but I stand by my decision. This isn't about revenge. It's about boundaries and mental peace. I love you, but I can't keep having the same fight." I thought that would end it. It didn't. Mom forwarded my email to Clara. And of course, Clara wrote back, this time with an even longer email calling me immature and obsessed with the past. She said Marco was the real villain, not her. But she wasn't some clueless victim. She made a choice, and she's never taken responsibility for it. I didn't reply. I've spent years healing that wound. I'm not reopening it now. Then yesterday, Clara posted another vague status on Facebook. People show their true colors when they think they've won. Her friends commented things like, "You're better off without toxic people." I didn't respond, but it still hurt. Meanwhile, Mom keeps trying to guilt me into reconciling. She says things like, "I had coffee with Clara and she's really struggling. I just wish you could see how much she's hurting." But she never once asks how I'm doing. Sebastian's been incredible through all this. He told me, "Don't let their chaos ruin your peace. You deserve this new beginning." He's even planning a small getaway for us just to breathe again. Some relatives quietly reached out to support me, saying I did the right thing. Others, they've picked Clara's side. They whisper, they post, they gossip, but honestly, I don't care anymore. What shocks me most is how little I miss Clara. After all this, I expected some part of me to want her back in my life. But instead, I feel relief. Because deep down, I know I made the right choice. She's never shown real remorse. She's never respected my feelings. And I'm done pretending that blood automatically means forgiveness. I'm emotionally exhausted, tired of explaining myself, tired of being painted as the villain just for choosing my own happiness. My mom keeps acting like Clara's pain matters more than mine. At this point, I don't know what'll happen next. I don't want to cut Mom off completely, but if she keeps pushing, I might have to. All I know is I chose peace. And maybe for once, that's enough. It's been a whirlwind since my last update, far more chaotic than I ever expected. I honestly thought things would quiet down after a few days, but instead, the tension exploded in ways I could never have predicted. Right now, I feel like I'm trapped in a family drama that's spiraling completely out of control, and all I'm trying to do is hang on to my sanity. It all started when Clara sent me a surprise package. I froze the moment I saw her name on the return label. My stomach dropped like a stone. For a moment, I considered tossing it in the trash unopened. But curiosity won. Inside was a small photo album and a letter, several handwritten pages. And strangely enough, it wasn't filled with rage. Instead, it was this bizarre mixture of guilt, justification, and nostalgia. She started by saying how sorry she was for how everything had turned out, how she regretted the pain she'd caused me, but then the letter shifted tone. She began explaining her side, claiming she'd been in a dark place when she slept with Marco, that she hadn't fully understood the impact of her actions. She wrote about growing up in my shadow, always feeling like the lesser sister, and how Marco had given her the validation she'd been starving for. It was almost manipulative, like she wanted me to pity her. The letter ended with her saying she wanted to start fresh and rebuild our sisterhood. And the photo album? It was filled with pictures of us as kids, birthdays, holidays, random goofy moments from childhood. At first, I smiled at some of the memories, but then the sadness hit. Each photo was a painful reminder of what used to be and what she destroyed. I couldn't tell if this was a genuine olive branch or another emotional ploy, but it left me completely unsettled. When I showed it to Sebastian, he told me to be cautious. He said, "You can acknowledge her pain without reopening your wounds. You don't owe her forgiveness." He was right. So I tucked the letter and album into a drawer and haven't touched them since. But before I could even process all that, Mom took things to a new level. She decided to fix everything, her words, by organizing what she called a family intervention. Yes, an actual intervention. She sent a group text to me, Clara, and half the relatives, saying we'd all meet at her house to work through our issues like adults. My heart sank the moment I read it. The idea of sitting in a room with people who had already chosen sides, and Clara pretending to be the victim, felt like walking into an ambush. I politely told Mom I wasn't comfortable with it and wouldn't be attending. She called immediately, crying, begging, guilt-tripping. "We're a family. Families don't abandon each other," she said. I explained, again, that forcing reconciliation would only make things worse. but she wouldn't hear it. She insisted she was doing this for my own good, so I stayed home. Sebastian and I spent the afternoon together trying to focus on anything else. But that decision unleashed another wave of fallout. Mom called afterward, furious and disappointed. She said everyone, including Clara, had shown up and that my absence proved I was the one dividing the family. Before I could even respond, she hung up. Then came the texts. A cousin messaged, "You should have been there. It was healing for Clara." An aunt wrote a long paragraph calling me cruel and stubborn for refusing to let Clara apologize face to face. Apparently, Clara cried through the entire thing, saying how much she missed me and wanted to fix things. And now half the family treats her as the wounded one, while I'm painted as heartless for holding a grudge. It's maddening. It's like no one cares about what I went through, they just want their picture-perfect family illusion back. And I'm the villain for saying no. Mom barely speaks to me now. When she does, her tone is clipped, cold, and full of passive aggression. She even skipped a lunch we had planned, texting at the last minute that she wasn't feeling well. I knew what that meant. It hurts, it really does. But I keep reminding myself that her behavior is about her, not me. Thankfully, I still have a few close friends who have been my lifeline. One of my best friends came over with a bottle of wine and takeout last week. We talked for hours. She reminded me that setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's survival. That was exactly what I needed to hear. Still, the guilt lingers sometimes. I keep wondering if I'm being too stubborn, if maybe I should give in just to keep the peace. But then I remember how hard I've fought to heal, and how easily Clara could drag me right back into that pain. And the truth is, she's never shown real remorse. She's only sorry that I won't play along anymore. So yes, I'm standing firm, even if everyone else thinks I'm the bad guy. It's been almost a week since the chaos hit its peak, and I can finally breathe again. So much happened, and while it was messy, it also gave me the closure I didn't realize I needed. This will likely be my final update. Because I've made my decision once and for all, I'm choosing peace. After the intervention and the letter, I distanced myself, focused on work, spent time with Sebastian, ignored my phone. But of course, ignoring them didn't stop the drama. Mom kept calling and emailing, saying I had to meet with Clara, just the three of us this time. She said the last meeting was too overwhelming for me. I declined politely but firmly. I thought that would finally end it. It didn't. Last weekend, Sebastian and I hosted a small dinner with friends, good food, laughter, no drama. It was perfect, until I checked my phone. Clara had made another Facebook post. This time it was personal. She wrote, "It's sad when some people can't move on. At some point you have to wonder if they're just jealous of what they lost." My stomach dropped. There was no doubt she meant me. And the implication that I was jealous or still obsessed with Marco made my blood boil. Marco, of all people. The last person I'd ever want back in my life. I showed Sebastian. He told me to block her and move on, and he was right. But something inside me snapped. I was done letting Clara control the story, done letting my mother guilt me into silence, done being the villain in their twisted narrative. So I called my mother the next morning and told her I wanted to meet with her and Clara one last time. Not to make peace, but to end this once and for all. Mom was thrilled, thinking this was my way of making amends. She set it up right away at her house. I didn't bother correcting her. When I arrived, the tension was thick. Mom was nervous and overly cheerful, trying to play mediator. Clara looked smug like she'd already won. Before I could even sit down, she launched into her usual speech about family and forgiveness. I let her finish. Then, calmly, I asked about her Facebook post. She didn't even deny it. Instead, she said it was just a general statement, and that if I took offense, maybe it was because I was still too sensitive. Then she accused me of being obsessed with the past, of being angry because I couldn't let go of Marco. That's when I lost it. I told her very clearly that this was not about Marco. It was about her betrayal and her refusal to take responsibility. I reminded her that she slept with my boyfriend knowingly and never once offered a real apology. Instead, she spent years twisting the truth, playing the victim, and using Mom as her mouthpiece. I told her I was done, completely done. Then I turned to my mother. I told her I loved her, but her endless guilt-tripping and manipulation had pushed me past my limit. If she wanted to stay in my life, she needed to accept that Clara was not part of it. Clara burst into tears, saying, "I've tried so hard to make things right. I don't understand why you hate me so much." But her tears felt fake. Like every word was meant to draw sympathy. When it became clear I wasn't budging, her mask cracked. She grew defensive, sarcastic, accusing me of being cold and acting perfect. That's when I laughed. Not out of amusement, but exhaustion. I stood up, told them both I was done with the drama, and walked out. And for the first time in years, I felt light, like I could finally breathe again. Since then, I've blocked Clara everywhere. I told Mom I'm taking a long break from family gatherings. Whether she respects that or not, I'm ready to enforce it. Sebastian has been my anchor through it all. He keeps reminding me that protecting my peace isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. And he's right. I'm no longer angry, just relieved. For the first time in forever, I can focus on my life, my marriage, my friends, my future, without the constant storm of family guilt hanging over me. Letting go of Clara and the relatives who enable her feels like finally setting down a weight I've carried too long. Am I sad it had to end this way? Maybe a little, but I'm at peace, and that's worth everything. If I've learned anything from all this, it's that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment, hit subscribe, follow for more, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next one.